This show is pre-recorded and furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Cynthia and Ed.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, out of the blue, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn or just stay at the stop sign. She wasn't even really sure where she was at. She was very concerned. It was very unsettling for her.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it, to bring the family in on it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time Shiro to all of us. Now it's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
I love this song! I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzz warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
But by and large, you bought yourself a lawsuit for
Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I'm a real workplace lawyer. Well, it might be another boring show where we talk about the labor laws that might get passed and what we might get if we're confined to our dwellings. Maybe. That's not an if. Don't worry. That's not what you're thinking. That was a productive cough. Probably not a new client calling in during the middle of the show. Y'all, the phones for the Employment Lawyers Group at 877-525-0700 are going to my cell. Whoa, yikes, that wasn't so productive. Sorry, but I really have to answer this caller. They might just keep calling. We might go dead air for 5 or 10 minutes or however long it takes this person to get off the phone.
I was wondering if you're lonely, Mr. Gerber. I'm just sitting here all by myself in a house full of genitals, not attached or anything, and I'm looking at the two on each end of the books in the kitchen, a female one by the cookbook. And I do believe that's a healthy male specimen by Cindy's baby book.
Dr. D, your last show, episode 98, got us a warning strike on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube. They believe the show contained nudity and images. All you can hear are our voices.
Actually, you may have heard, but the Helms Foundation has come out with a new device which puts imagery to what is said on this show. Not any other shows, just this show.
Well, listeners, at least we have a genetic scientist on this show. Maybe, Dr. D, you can shed some light on what's going on.
Dr. Chu's been having to herd the genitals at the lab all by herself. She's obeying the non-essential business shutdown order. Now, I beg to differ. A genital laboratory is most essential to a good amount of the population. Dr. Chu's the only one who's been in there in a week and a half, looking after all the genitals. Heavens to hand sanitizer. That's a lot of genitals for one woman to look after.
I think there must be an exception for biolabs where they are growing genitals. I mean, hell, it's downright unsympathetic to leave all those things in there without feeding them until this whole dilemma is over with.
Yeah, it's not the same seeing the genitals on Zoom conferencing. I like to hold them, feed them, play with them, nourish them.
This virus has brought some pretty harsh circumstances. It took almost 2 weeks for me to get food for the family and a little longer for me.
The girls got stuck in my house. Of course, they can't get stuck in the Cindy D sex robot or anything. You know what I mean.
Right.
Once the stay-at-home order started, we were all together. And now we have to stay all together.
I thought you were all alone in your house, Dr. D, with only your genitals. I mean, not yours personally, but those extra units you brought home from work at one point or another.
Oh, well, Reverb has been staying in South Van Nuys with me since you reminded me on episode 80 she was my adopted daughter. Sometimes it's just hard to remember, Reverb.
Where is she?
That's the thing. I don't know where she is.
She's gone to the community. How reckless!
You know how it is. She just appears sometimes. We don't always know where she is. And if she's gone too long, we forget who she is.
That's really bizarre. She better not be waltzing around somewhere spreading virus.
She's probably in the garden shed spreading the love.
What? That's very irresponsible.
She's all set up in there with a USB microphone. And the last of our rice, paper towels on the microphone, wasting Cindy's Jell-O making squishy noises.
Doing ASMR whisper porn from your garden shed? Not the most sexy environment with the smell of potting soil, rusty rakes, and snails.
Well, other than a snail, I had to clean that stuff out last summer. Had to make room for 300 infant units. I was in the shed feeding them with vitamins, minerals, 5 times a day, until a marijuana cultivator broke in and stole my UV lamps.
I hate to ask, Dr. D, but something just occurred to me. Do grow genitals need sunlight and fresh air? I wouldn't think a garden shed is the proper place to raise a bioengineered genital.
Well, I was able to create what you might call the greenhouse effect. The genitals flourished. It was like growing hothouse tomatoes in Houston, Tennessee.
Mom, do we have any paper cups left?
Is that Reverb?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think it is her. It must be. Heavens to centrifuges. I forgot what she looked like.
How long was she out on the garden shed doing ASMR whisper porn?
1 hour, 14 minutes, and 14 seconds. There's a decimal point there. Shall I tell you?
It's okay. What have you been up to, Reverb, other than making people you-know-what with the sound of your voice?
Oh, she's been dating.
I've been meaning to ask how that's working out, given the whole 6-foot rule.
Oh, we keep the 14-foot rule around these parts in southern Van Nuys.
Dating in the era of the coronavirus. Dads, don't worry about whether your daughter will be groped on their dates. With the 6-foot distancing order, that isn't gonna happen. And if it does, report him. Get him locked up before his lips make contact somewhere they shouldn't.
We're keeping the 14-foot distance when he visits.
They don't have to get close. They don't need to. It just happens when she wants it to.
What just happens?
Well, it isn't that big of a house here in the southerly parts of Van Nuys. I can hear it when he's laying on her Malate NAD plus bed, and she's up on the shelf of the closet in the bedroom I'm told she grew up in.
Sounds bizarre.
Should I demonstrate?
Oh, God, no! There could be listeners sitting in front of their family. I mean, small apartments. They have to be near their families now. We don't want those guys to finish up in front of...
Reverb. Mr. Gerber has a good point. What if their wives get jealous?
I was actually thinking they could be in front of their grown children or something. Maybe their millennial child came back from a coronavirus-infested land, not L.A., and they're quarantining with their parents for 14 days.
Oh, that's what I'm doing after that awful phone sex cruise.
It's Cindy D. Wait a minute. That was episode 99 on the Karl Gerber with a K channel less than a month ago.
That boat was so wretched. I was told to quarantine for 114 days.
Well, that's ridiculous.
I'll tell you what's ridiculous. Experts say it can take 14 days for symptoms of the coronavirus to show up, and you have to quarantine for 14 days. Is this science or some proclamation of the Helms Foundation?
Oh, this is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyers Show. Please call me at the office at 877-525-0700 if you want to sue your employer for wrongful termination. 877-525-0700 to bring a case against your employer, maybe for sexual harassment. 877-525-0700, normal business days, unpaid wages. The Karl Gerber Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a consistent force in fighting for the rights of California employees. They've represented thousands of employees in cases in which they've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, discriminated against at work, or owed wages individually or as a group, such as a class action. The Employment Lawyers Group has maintained a high win rate and a serious record before the California courts. Please call 877-525-0700 for an experienced work lawyer. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, research the firm at worklawyerca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. If you hire the Employment Lawyers Group, your legal problem becomes theirs to solve.
Please listen. This is important. Anyone can be affected by the prescription opioid crisis. If you think you've been hurt by Purdue or its prescription opioids like OxyContin, you may be entitled to compensation as part of Purdue's bankruptcy, but you have to file a claim. Claims may include overdose, death, substance use disorder, lost wages, and neonatal abstinence syndrome. A confidential claim can be filed by individuals, a legal guardian, by survivors or relatives of people who have died or are disabled. The deadline to file a claim is June 30th, 2020, or you will lose your right to file a claim. For more information, visit PurduePharmaClaims.com, or you can call toll-free 1-844-217-0912. That's 1-844-217-0912. Paid for by Prime Clerk, LLC.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
AM 790.
When danger is imminent, will you be prepared? Now many mobile devices can bring you critical information from local sources you trust. With the unique sound and vibration, wireless emergency alerts keep you in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
AM 790 KABC. If you love Ben Shapiro, which you do, I love you, man. You'll love Andrew Klavan, The Andrew Klavan Show, weeknights at 9 on AM 790 KABC.
Large, you bought yourself a lawsuit for wrongful death.
Well, this is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber, a real workplace lawyer who can sue for wrongful discharge. We've got Dr. D here, and we've been talking about the quarantine period for the coronavirus and all those 14 days.
Right. You know, they say 14 days, and it takes 14 days for the coronavirus to show up. And I was just saying, you know, it's ridiculous. Is this science or some proclamation of the Helms Foundation?
Oh, gosh, this show has been going on for 14 hours, and I haven't said the sponsorship plug yet. This program has been made possible through a generous grant from the Helms Foundation's $5.14 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment.
I need the endowment. I can't be away from Cemex this long. I'm actually doing things during most of my phone sex calls.
And I thought I was all alone here, just me and my genitals.
Cindy D., the most famous landline speaking English phone sex operator in the world, her mother, Dr. D, and Reverb, her not sister. Oh, ladies, why isn't the Helms Foundation solving the virus problem? They have their hands inside every orifice in this country. Why can't they use some of their $5.14 billion in funding and 14 inches of endowment to find a cure, a vaccine, anything?
Well, there is one very good reason for that, Mr. Gerber. The coronavirus is not a sexually transmitted disease.
But it could be, Mom. If Reverb had a different kind of boyfriend, one who didn't live by himself in a dog kennel, if he were out walking all those doggies, flirting with the girls in the park, hopefully not getting KO'd by one who's learned the defensive butt mechanism from the soldier, well, if he and Reverb actually had sex, not that things were, you know, not that thing where her voice, but while she was in the closet, not that thing with her voice where she's in the closet and he's laying on the bed halfway.
Well, Cindy, I think we get the idea, you know. I mean, he's just laying on the Milady NAD plus bed 14 feet away, horizontally and vertical in distance and all, if and only if he could give her the coronavirus, if he was more...
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Now, Reverb's friend happens to be a very well-respected animal impersonator. It isn't his fault. He's literally grounded now.
Literally grounded? Like an airplane?
He's slithering around on the floor like a big, pulsating organ.
Oh, my Reverb, one of my straight friends texted me and said it just happened for her.
Who's that, Mom?
Quinoa.
Quinoa's your friend? I mean, that's the woman from episode 89 on the Karl Gerber with the Cage channel on YouTube with the orgasm disorder who does 180 on a good day and 360 on a bad day.
I didn't know you had Republican friends, Mom.
She came over one day with a soldier. I wanted to know if he could teach me the defensive butt mechanism.
Did you do it, Mom? Do it. Do it.
I was very disappointed when he said that although I am not as slim as Cindy anymore, well, I never was, but I was a size 8 in college when I was an extra in the John Waters movie, and I met Cindy's dad. At any rate, the soldier said I didn't have the rear end for it.
That's too bad, Mom. I was hoping somebody in the family had the right butt.
Do it. Do it. Do it. I can do it. Yes, I can. Can I do it? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Ladies, how does any of this relate to employment law?
Since I make more than $511 a day, that Federal Families First Coronavirus Response Act isn't going to cover the expenses around here with my daughter Cindy, Reverb if she's all here, and her boyfriend coming around and keeping his distance.
Well, I understand things are just happening with Reverb's voice when she's with her new boyfriend. But for more normal couples dating, I was wondering about all those people moving on to maybe their second or third date. How's that makeout session going to work if they're both wearing masks?
You're just repeating your jokes from the last show. They can see the thumbnail on YouTube for the last episode of the show. I would say it defeated the purpose of the masks. But those two young people were really going at it tongue to tongue through their masks. I would have felt better about it if they were using a female condom.
Female condom under their masks? They would have suffocated. At any rate, last week's audio was so terrible that the punchlines couldn't be heard. That's the last time I'm calling in on a landline.
Mr. Gerber, you just don't know how to use a landline.
In dating for seniors these days, with the being confined to their homes, how is that working out for you? I don't want to be hearing you're trying to meet up with a new match, although from a 6-foot distance, presuming you can see that far at 7 a.m. when the retail stores open on the specialty times for seniors.
Mr. Gerber, I am not a senior. I'm only 5 years older than you.
He's just repeating his jokes because he didn't think anybody heard them.
I heard them. Sealing the deal in the age of coronavirus. Reaver, do they even talk about sealing the deal anymore? Maybe not you. You stay 14 feet away. But I heard him say, dating for a couple of months, you've generally kept your 6-foot social distance, 14 in Reverb's case, eating meals together on Zoom conferencing. But it's time to connect. I mean, really connect. I mean, even if you Lysol the bed, you're about to swap bodily fluids. You can't do it. No kissing. Wash yourself in hot water for 20 seconds afterwards. No, you're not supposed to sing Happy Birthday song when you see him naked for the first time. That's for afterwards when you're washing off. What? Seriously, Cindy, you thought the joke was that funny?
No, I was thinking about Reverb laying on her closet shelf and squirming Cecil laying on her NAD plus bed.
Malatte NAD plus bed.
Well, thank you for mixing that science in here, Dr. D.
Reverb, out of all the eligible bachelors, why did you have to pick a boyfriend who squirms?
Mom, that happens a lot of times when they are,
I saw a picture of that guy.
Oh, that's so gross. I didn't know you were on Omegle. How did you find that video?
Well, I got invited to a big Cub Scout event before the president's negligence got us all quarantined, out of work, out of business, in terrible debt. Some of us died who never died before. Others got rashes in that certain place on account of a shortage.
Now, I find that very inappropriate. The Boy Scouts have gone bankrupt, and they're showing pictures of what goes on in Reverb's room.
Oh, no. Squirming Cecil is a leading animal impersonator. More so than that silly wannabe on episode 75 of the show. Famous voice actress. Nobody listened. Anyway, there was going to be some contest for the Tigers where they were supposed to guess who the real dog was. Apparently, a lot of the other troops couldn't figure it out.
Mr. Gerber, unless I'm mistaken, dogs don't squirm. Genitals do.
You guys are all making fun of Cecil because he's grounded right now and he has to squirm. If he could walk, he would. I've seen him walk on 2 feet.
Why can't he walk?
Yeah, what's preventing him?
He's trying to make a political statement. It's like the legs have been cut off of the economy.
Oh, I see. Hey, he's a lot smarter than we're giving him credit.
Oh, I really miss the cosplay ostrich ranch. The ostriches, the mile-long bed, Remus Helms. Remus Helms, the most important man. And
what about your daughter, Cindy, your husband?
I just want to reach out and touch Vargine, but I can't. I'm quarantined for 114 days.
But Reverb isn't, that she's cavorting around with squirming Cecil.
Well, sometimes she walks and he squirms, but they're mostly in her bedroom with him on the citric acid cycle bed and her on her closet shelf.
That's not entirely true. They've been spending a lot of time in the garden shed.
How big is this shed? I mean, that doesn't sound like the social distancing I'd expect from the daughter you raised, Dr. D.
She's up in the rafters, and he's 14 feet below, squirming.
I never pictured Reverb as the dominant one.
Mom, how do you know all this?
I've got my genitals.
One, I thought.
I've got a few spies in the shed.
Well, actually, I think Remus Helms' cosplay ostrich ranch might be a bit more a normal place these days than your southern Van Nuys digs. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm a real workplace lawyer, and even though we're all confined to home, I'm the one answering all the phone employment laws for call. 877-525-0700 during normal business hours. Doesn't get you on the show, but might get you an employment lawyer. 877-525-0700 if you've got to sue your employer for unpaid wages. 877-525-0700 for a wrongful termination lawyer like me and my firm. This is Talk Radio 790 KBC. We'll be back in a minute.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a consistent force in fighting for the rights of California employees. They've represented thousands of employees in cases in which they've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, discriminated against at work, or owed wages individually or as a group such as a class action. The Employment Lawyers Group has maintained a high win rate and a serious record before the California courts. Please call 877-525-0700 for an experienced work lawyer. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, research the firm at worklawyerca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. If you hire the Employment Lawyers Group, your legal problem becomes theirs to solve.
AM 790
KABC. Please listen. This is important. Anyone can be affected by the prescription opioid crisis. If you think you've been hurt by Purdue or its prescription opioids like OxyContin, you may be entitled to compensation as part of Purdue's bankruptcy, but you have to file a claim. Claims may include overdose, death, substance use disorder, lost wages, and neonatal abstinence syndrome. A confidential claim can be filed by individuals, a legal guardian, by survivors or relatives of people who have died or are disabled. The deadline to file a claim is June 30th, 2020, or you will lose your right to file a claim. For more information, visit PurduePharmaClaims.com, or you can call toll-free 1-844-217-0912. That's 1-844-217-0912. Paid for by Prime Clerk, LLC.
By and large, you bought yourself a lawsuit.
Talk Radio 790 KBC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber, a real workplace lawyer. We're talking to Cindy D, her mother, and Reverb, and we were talking about the Remus Helms cosplay ostrich ranch before we broke.
Oh, that's one place I wish I was quarantined. The mile-long bed, the ostriches.
I bet they've got eggs to eat.
Oh, well, let's please not say any more about the eggs on that ranch. We don't want to have them get raided.
Mistress Lubov, keep order on the ranch. She's like the rooster. No Mistress Lubov, no order. Maybe chaos.
But imagine a cosplay ostrich ranch with a mile-long bed and Remus Helms has any particular amount of order.
Mistress Lubov needed must get back to the cosplay ostrich ranch.
All right, Cindy and your alter ego. I've been watching the statistics about where the confirmed coronavirus cases are in the various Los Angeles cities. So far, there aren't that many cases in Sun Valley, California.
Yeah, sometimes I think a lot of the people there aren't real. Did you know the McDonald's girl really has yarn for her hair?
I've heard that claim. We haven't met her. Maybe if this show continues into a third year, we'll meet her.
It's a very cohesive bunch down there. Some of them have never left the ranch. Not for years. They've been ostracized. No pun intended. Take Anita Orchid Helms, for instance. She would probably die of boredom again if she strayed away from the ranch. Other environs simply lack the stimulus.
Well, Dr. D, I think that Anita Orchid Helms would do okay at your genital lab once it's staffed with employees and volunteers again.
She does so like to come by and play with the growing genitals. But, at the end of the day, she's bored. Genitals, and nothing but genitals.
Well, I can understand why she'd like a little variety. I mean, naturally, she's involved in some. I mean, not really some, but all of the strangest things life has to offer on the Remus Helms cosplay ostrich ranch.
Speaking of those statistics about where there are reported cases of the coronavirus, why are there so many in Tarzana?
Beats me. Oh, the lucky 7! It's really in Reseda!
Close proximity.
Well, the same with Encino. There are a lot of reported cases there. That's pretty close to Reseda, too.
As a scientist, I cannot condone these figures. The incidence of confirmed cases are not statistically significant. The number of untested cases are too numerous.
Well, Nizuki was on this show for episode 102. She talked about all the precautions they were using at the Lucky 7 Tarzana Neuromassage Parlor. They had gas masks, wetsuits with holes cut out for access.
Indeed. Since this is not a sexually transmitted disease per se, those lower holes may not be significant. Well, on the other hand, men do tend to scratch themselves quite a bit, adjust themselves. Heavens, the Lucky 7 should be closed.
Yeah, there was some weird thing where neuromassage parlors were supposed to be exempt from the statewide and citywide order, those non-essential businesses that had to close.
Are there other neuromassage clinics operating in Los Angeles other than Nizuki's? Oh, that's right. There's the Lucky 7 Glendale, which is not affiliated with her in any way. Pure trade name infringement. That's where the soldier went for relief of what was then a minor sexual injury that turned into a major sexual injury.
If you've tuned in for the first time tonight, this is episode 104. This show is scripted weekly and thought to be the hottest weekly comedy show anywhere. It has an internet audience of 186,000 a month. Don't let that go down during the coronavirus. Keep laughing. It's the best thing for you in times like this.
Phone sex is good, too. It's proper distancing.
Wait. What about ASMR whisper porn? You can see me on the internet. You can't see Cindy. No. She'll tell you all kinds of things. And she isn't Asian either. Not any part of her. Men have gotten stuck over that misrepresentation.
It's also possible that not a lot of men got stuck. The fact nobody really opted into having their name and address disclosed to the plaintiff's lawyer who brought the class action against Remus Helms for the not very accurate Cindy D sex robots could be the product of, most men just weren't. How do I say it?
Not that well endowed would be the polite way of saying it.
Yes, but we've heard about the soldier's size before and after. Before he got stuck and the minor sexual injury that turned into a major sexual injury after the temporary relief at the Lucky 7 Glendale. And then the 1.5 centimeter stand-in that went down in the evil bait and switch scheme with Myron Alfombra pronounced Matting but spelled M&M.
I feel like we really do need to do proper research on this issue. Get a statistically significant sample together.
Mom, we can't take that chance. If other men get stuck, and what happens to them is what happened to the soldier. That's terrible.
There are brave souls right now allowing medical professionals to test coronavirus drugs on them. I don't think it would be asking too much to let a couple hundred men have some fun in the Cindy D sex robot, and then we can find out when and if they are really getting stuck. Or maybe they aren't using the proper...
Oh, we need to change the subject. This doesn't relate to labor law.
Okay, the real reason I'm here at my mother's house is I am the only one bringing in any money right now. I can't make the calls from home.
Cindy D., I'm under the impression that specialized construction goes forward. Cemex should be working.
He doesn't want to touch other men's tools.
Oh, maybe I could go in for him and touch those tools.
Dr. D., Cindy's referring to edgers.
Oh, it's a shame I'm not at home. I could be edging Cemex.
Right, and the trowels and different kinds of floats. Wait a minute, Cemex is a foreman on a union crew. Is he supposed to even touch tools?
There are some guys who don't want to touch their tools, but Cemex isn't one of them.
Gosh, he could be violating some union thing if he's management and doing a union cement worker's job.
He just can't resist. He loves touching his tool. He does all sorts of jobs.
What kind of jobs?
Well, he works with his hands.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's not supposed to do that.
What's he supposed to do with me staying at my mother's house until the 114-day quarantine is over?
Maybe I should be concerned because, Cindy, we were together on March 1st for episode 99, an episode that didn't get the traction or momentum it deserved because I couldn't use the words phone sex operator in the title. I had to say something silly like adult party line operator because of a whole claim YouTube made that this show is a visual display of nudity and sex.
That's so old-fashioned. An adult party line? Most people just want to get to the point.
I don't know, Cindy. As a single woman for most of my life, I've done a lot of beating the bush.
Oh, Dr. D, I wouldn't say you'd wasted your life, done a bunch of useless things. You got your PhD at UCI, raised the most famous English-speaking landline phone sex operator in the world, and although she's not your daughter, but she looks and sounds like you and your daughter, you raised an ASMR whisper porn legend who makes men orgasm with merely the sound of her voice, not to mention your important research, thereby creating the first bioengineered genital, although not necessarily mounted, or able to procreate as the Helms Foundation was able to so modify your work for his sex robots.
I think you misunderstood the expression I was using.
How do you think we learned the business, Mom?
I have been present on several occasions in which Dr. D started trying to do things on a landline, things not suitable for a show on a conservative talk radio station.
Where's the Jell-O?
You girls have to share the Jell-O.
No, it's my Jell-O. Reverb can use something else.
Can you just do that, Reverb?
She doesn't need Jell-O. She has certain talents.
Then where did my Jell-O go? I've got a 12-hour shift coming up. Even if I play a little, I can't go on like that for 12 hours. I'd be dehydrated.
I used the Jell-O.
Reverb, I thought you didn't need the Jell-O to make squishy sexual sounds.
Squirming Cecil ate the Jell-O off her.
No, that's not the sort of social distancing you should be practicing, Reverb. Just because you're 24, that doesn't mean you can't get the coronavirus.
Squirming Cecil lives with other canines, and he eats dog food.
He also eats Jell-O, my Jell-O.
That's not the only thing he eats.
I must say, until I got a few deliveries, things were getting pretty grim. I was ready to eat my wife!
Well, why didn't you take the opportunity, Mr. Gerber?
I'm not a cannibal!
They're only letting me buy 2 packs of Jell-O at a time. I told them I'm Cindy D, the most famous English-speaking landline phone sex operator in the world. They said rules are rules. You aren't the only landline phone sex operator in the neighborhood.
Well, who else is there? I'm at the office. Call me at 877-525-0700 for the real employment lawyer. 877-525-0700 if you want to get even with your employer. 877-525-0700 if you've been fired and you're left getting left. Talk Radio 790 KABC.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a consistent force in fighting for the rights of California employees. They've represented thousands of employees in cases in which they've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, discriminated against at work, or owed wages individually or as a group such as a class action. The Employment Lawyers Group has maintained a high win rate and a serious record before the California courts. Please call 877-525-0700 for an experienced work lawyer. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, research the firm at worklawyerca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. If you hire the Employment Lawyers Group, your legal problem becomes theirs to solve.
By and large, you bought yourself a
Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber, and I'm a real workplace lawyer. I've got Cindy D, the most famous English-speaking landline phone sex operator here, and I want to know, what about the hard candies, Cindy D? Are you able to get enough of those these days?
Oh, talk about price gouging. I've been paying $21 for a few hard candies. I bought them off eBay and they were used.
Somebody else already had them in their mouth. Now that's a sure way to spread the virus. Well, maybe not if they last sucked a few months ago.
They were wrapped.
Well, that's a good thing. I've heard the Lucky Seven Tarzana has been using unwrapped condoms.
I must say that's just plain weird, as plain as phosphorus.
I've also heard that they are reusing condoms. Some neuro nurse claimed it could be done because she heard the medical professionals were having to reuse surgical masks.
Now, I think that would depend on the amount of ejaculate. If a man produced a healthy 5 milliliters, not 2, that could be 300 sperm cells. If all of them survived, that would be enough to repopulate the United States after the coronavirus.
Dr. D, you're suggesting 300 million people will die?
Oh, the figures will not be of that magnitude. I was rather referring to the repopulation of bioengineered genitals.
Those things got the coronavirus?
As rather infant cells who have not been exposed to much of anything but loving care in the lab. They are quite susceptible to any virus. Now that's why Dr. Chu is living in the lab right now, chewing on the...
Oh no, we'll get censored. That's obscene.
Dr. Chu's always chewing on something. That's why they call her Dr. Chu.
That isn't her real name?
At present, I haven't been able to corroborate that.
Dr. D, how long have you worked there?
I want to say 14 years, but I don't think it's quite that long. You know something? I've never even seen Remus Helms.
Never met him? I thought you had.
I haven't actually seen.
Haven't you seen any of his movies?
I meant up close and personal.
Well, how could Reverb be his daughter?
Immaculate Conception.
Pardon me if I'm about to drop off, but I'm not getting my normal caloric intake.
That's one of the reasons I wish I had a man at home.
Well, women are quite capable of trying to procure marked up canned goods and the occasional piece of fruit online, too.
If you know where to get hard candies and Jell-O, do tell me, Mr. Gerber. Semex sent me over a couple pieces of hard concrete. After we quarantined them for 3 days, I decided I wasn't going to put them in my mouth.
I told you, Cindy, I could grow you new enamel. A tooth is one of the easiest cells to engineer. When Virgine's baby teeth started falling out, the two of us made a mouthful of temporary stand-ins.
Mom, that's why I never got any cute pictures of her with her front teeth missing.
The D's have a natural ability to grow things. What about me? You say I am not related to the two of you, but it took a lot of Jell-O to fill in between mine.
Well, we've been through this whole thing about how Reverb looks like Dr. D and Cindy D.
She's only a C.
Luckily, it sounds like Reverb and Cindy D are able to work from home. What about you, Dr. D?
I need a lab. I need cloning discs, PCR accessories, bedroom toys, UV cross-linkers, or systems for UV cross-linking of DNA or RNA to membranes, or gene mapping for creating cleavage-inhibiting thymine dimmers.
Why would you want to dim the cleavage, Mom?
Oh, Cindy, it's not what you're thinking.
Yes, UV-induced thymine dimmers can be repaired by photoreactivation, in which energy, sexual energy, is mustered. This is why we are moving the lab to Sun Valley, California.
Never heard of anything like this. You don't need to muster sexual energy to clone genes. Or cells.
The type of cells I clone need all the sexual energy they can get. You wouldn't want a bioengineered genital that doesn't have, how do you say, spirit. Yes, spirit.
I was on drill team. Drill me, drill me. That's what they did.
Oh, now I'm remembering. Those were awful days. They kept drilling Reverb.
No, we won't talk like this.
They weren't sure about her. They thought she might have a speech problem.
Oh, presumably she had her talents back then.
I didn't wake up one day and realize I'd be an ASMR whisper porn legend until I was in my 20s.
Well, then what were you doing in high school, Reverb?
They were drilling me.
I know, it's terrible. Semex has a concrete drill. I couldn't believe they tried using that on her.
That's a very unusual type of drilling.
Reverb was a squad lieutenant.
What did her squad do?
They made a lot of weird noises.
They didn't dance or stand on each other's shoulders?
Huh, that's a good question. I just can't remember. Do you remember, Cindy?
To tell you the truth, I forgot Reverb grew up in our house until she came back from England last year, and Mr. Gerber asked me if I had a sister, and he started insisting I did.
It was the same with me. I believe it was episode 80, in which he showed me pictures, and at first I didn't see Reverb in the pictures, and I certainly didn't recognize her, and then I remembered she grew up in my house.
What do you have to say about this, Reverb?
They're really weird.
What about you?
I'm not like them. I am perfectly normal.
Well, maybe you'll marry Squirming Cecil, and then if your children look like them, it might be true that you're related to Cindy D and Dr. D.
What if they look like dogs?
Now, that's not very nice. Reverb has a very pretty face. A face made for ASMR. I don't see how she'd have ugly children.
She thinks Squirming Cecil might be closer to a canine than most people.
He has certain features.
Have you seen him? He's pretty bushy.
That's not nice. Just because he's low to the ground and he doesn't have abs of steel like Semex and biceps that pulse in and out, in and out when he raises his arms.
Now, Reverb, Squirming Cecil is a very nice man. Maybe not all man. A little too much canine, if I do say so myself.
Well, with all the men you talk to, Reverb, I think there must be somebody out there who is a little less canine.
He's a warm, gentle man, and he hasn't asked me to go to the same bed with him yet. He hasn't had to, and he respects the governor's social distancing orders. A lot of the guys I meet don't.
She has gotten drilled a bit in her life. Maybe this is better.
I think women are turned off by guys who drill them all the time.
Oh, I wouldn't mind.
Because you're so intellectual, Mom. But it's not always fun to be quizzed.
Vargine doesn't have a problem being quizzed.
She's an 8-year-old genius. She might get tired of it sometime.
I do feel Vargine could go on and do research even I am not capable of.
Again, I'm not sure where else there is to go, at least in terms of sexual research. You've come so far, Dr. D.
You know, Mr. Gerber, I have come. I won't lie to you. But genitals aren't everything. Just about now a vaccine would save this economy, save lives. All those people who never died before would stop dying. The cure would be so much easier than the problem, and we'd be able to go to church on Easter.
Mom, you're living in a dream world. None of that is going to happen. Squirming Cecil told me so.
Is that Squirming Cecil? This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. We're weekly on this station. Please go back to the Karl Gerber with the K channel. Listen to old episodes. This is episode 104. This is a crazy show. I am a real workplace lawyer, and in this time of being confined to my house, I am taking all the phone calls for the Employment Lawyers Group. So if you have a case where you think that your employer has done you wrong and fired you, I'd like you to call me at 877-525-0700. This is not the time to be fired for an illegal reason when there aren't any jobs out there and, you're having enough trouble just getting groceries and not getting infected. I can be reached at 877-525-0700. If you have a medical condition, maybe a respiratory problem, or maybe you have a cardiovascular problem and you told your employer you really couldn't be working at this time, you couldn't take the risk of getting infection, and they said, no, you got to come to work anyways. I'm interested in a case like that just about now. Call me at 877-525-0700 during normal business hours. 877-525-0700 if you've run into a really creepy harasser and he's touched you. And nowadays, you really don't want to be touched. But in the old days, that was pretty bad, too. It's not consented to, and that can be sexual battery and sexual harassment. That's something I've done for many years. I've been practicing since 1993. I have survived 2 recessions, and I hope that my law firm is going to survive this shutdown. We're all working from home. We're using Zoom, and we're going to be back next week for another show. And I'd like it to be comedy. I'd like to be that way because I think that's what we need right now. So if you need a lawyer in California, we've got offices all over the place, but now everyone is just kind of signing up with these retainer links we send and doing a lot of business by electronics. So call me at 877-525-0700. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I would normally say have a wonderful week of workplace abuse, but I don't know if you're working.
This show is pre-recorded and furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.